エルデンリングが来るって聞きました。偽バケツの時間だついにエルデン。わーわー。偽バケツの時間だ終戦の時間だ
350。
スナック感覚で崩せるゲームぽいぽい。身近な大きさでぽいぽい。いつの間にかにかかってるじゃないか。
面白いやつ。
なんでもいいから面白いのぽいぽい。面白ければクソゲーでもいい。娘探しくらいの面白いやつぽいぽい。
それは矛盾している。
マグロ系のやつぽいぽい。縛るやつぽいぽい。いいやつ。
単純に面白いやつ。
ぽいぽい。面白いやつがいいな。加速。ぽいぽい。スナック感覚を求めたらスナックきそう。弦を感じるやつぽい。夏っぽいゲームぽいぽい。夏がストラーが見たいですね。謎ゲーぽいぽい。複雑で面白
夏っぽくて面白いやつ。
美しくなるやつぽいぽい。イコイコ。立ちたい立ちたいから立ちたいからそう立ちたいどない立ちたがか。大変なやつみたいな。すす。昔学べよ。よっしゃ。ムクムクがボスに出てくるゲームと。とんでもないこと。おお。よしすごい。3D アクションゲーム。よし。
なんだこれは。また URL かよ。
夏っぽい。やばそう。夏っぽいですね。夏っぽい離島のバカンス。
それでは
ウィットネスだな。このアドレスから
抽選スタート。
好きなゲームを選んでいいですよ。抽選の時間だ。草。アグワイ。アグワイ。アグワイ。スケール10。アグネット。アグワイ。
これをやりなさい。
だった。夏だね。
ダンジョンズシリー
イエス
ズ。
これをやりなさい。アグワイ。これをやりな
2
さい。
だなこれは。
聞いたことになんだっけ聞いたことあるかななんだっけこれシリーズだから神ゲーですね。続編が出るほどの神ゲー。
3から神ゲーだといい話だが。
猫ちゃんダンジョン経営するやつ。
なんかダンジョンから攻めていったような。
したんでしたっけ。地上も攻め込んでましたっけ。
やや好評。
現在のプレイ人数38。
77%。
プレイピーク人数11,705。
日本語ねえのかよ。
RTS かな。そんなに多い。さっきの19倍。
2015年
もう
4月
5時間も
25
プレイして
日。
いる。
今日待ってよ。
部活でやったのかな。5時間カード出す。
日本語があったようななかったような。
3まで出てるのか。
マジ？全キャット。こら何ですか？
ワンマンルール。
なんでなのかさっぱりわからん。なんで？
善の心です。
なんげー。
3倍ピックで配ってたみたいだ。
ありがとうございます。
2本抱き合わせです。猫と和解せよ。猫ちゃん。
抱き合わせなの。抱き合わせかよ。危険な香りがするワードですよ。
むしろ猫で縛る可能性。
さて。行ってみっか。
今ちょっとやったんでしたっけ？
多分。理論的には。
記憶がすべて。こんばんは帝国。原爆ゲームは終わったんですね。
はい。フリスク爆音注意。
縛り尽くされました。こんばんは帝国。やっと縛りから解放されましたか？ココン。
ほんとだ日本語になってる。
今回は何を縛るんですか？えらい。だが人生とは縛りなのだ。
束縛怪しい。翻訳が。
若干好き。強そうな。
最初からやるか。
マルチは対戦かな？途中からだった。
どうだったっけ？
3は一緒にやった気がするが。
大変だなこれは。神し。
Once the ultimate evil had escaped from the depths, still fettered to the throne, it traveled to wreak terrible vengeance on those who had done this, heavily supported by its little snots. The first target was Paladin Robert, now king of the Alliance. He had withdrawn to the quiet surroundings of his hunting lodge. There, he would be the perfect victim.
チュートリアルの後かなこれ。
Somewhere in the depths of the... It was time. The troops of the absolute evil had driven the Alliance back to their capital, King's
ここ
Ending.
からか。
The time for the
去
final
年の
battle had
11月の
arrived.
モザイク部でやってる。
Once upon a time, there was a kingdom full of flowers and rainbows, where the sun shone all the time and there was loads of that goody-goody, lovey-dovey good people stuff going
うさ
on.
ちゃん、
There, the alliance of abominably good people lived in unearned wealth and prosperity.
バンビ、
平和。
But there was a path leading to a
ケモ
different
ケモしてき
place
た。
there. At the end of this path was a rock. There was a cave carved in this rock in which the absolute evil lived. It wasn't a grubby, damp cave smelling of muck and mildew, but a deep, dark dungeon, so dark that even darkness itself was afraid of it. It was home to numerous innocent monsters who enjoyed a happy, contented existence, living in complete harmony with their environment. But time and again, the sickening, sweet-smelling good visited this underworld in search of treasure and experience points. Many monsters found this to be the death of them, but much worse, the absolute evil's treasures were being stolen. One day, just as a few more heroes had finished plundering its dungeon, the absolute evil decided it had had enough, and decided to do something new, something quite monstrous. Go to the surface.
これっていつ頃の
The
ゲームであ
Alliance
るか
tried to resist, but the approaching horde just flowed over them like an angry wave of axes, teeth, and bad breath. After numerous unrelenting battles, the absolute evil finally stood before the Alliance's capital, King's Ending. After coming,
戦争だ。
the forces of the absolute evil reached the Alliance capital, King's Ending. The lovable remnants of the forces of good had come here to make ready for the final battle.
よくわか
People
んな
would
い
pay a
けど
high
ベル
price
サイドな
indeed
の
to
かな
storm those fortress
和
walls.
骨
Or
って
so
ある
they
こん
thought.
ばんは帝国
Suddenly, a rumble rose from deep within the earth.
もう最終
Right
Stones
side.
burst asunder, revealing an ancient path into the depths.
コーン
Out of the depths of Stygian darkness arises the invincible
さっきのバーベ
evil.
キューは
With earth-shaking
やべ
steps,
やっこ
the
が出た。
unstoppable evil began its trek towards the front. In the terribly improbable event that it may have forgotten how that works, a formidable help function has been provided.
メタイ
歩くだけで崩壊していく。
Even the forest could not withstand the aura of the ultimate evil, and beat a hasty retreat. A few of the Alliance units had entrenched themselves here. A determined absolute evil marched towards them in order to strike them down with its mighty weapon.
強い。
The absolute evil had discovered a medal. These legendary awards ensured the creature could be made even more powerful. Only one once.
どれだよ。
Where one. Eyes ablaze with greed, the insidious evil gazed upon the blood-drenched battlefield. Here, the last defenders of good would die, and an age of evil. Projectiles from the Alliance's catapults darkened the sky, but the Horde's fighting skills were at their best in darkness, if they survived. Defeating good was as easy as taking candy from a baby for the unstoppable evil.
アンパンだよワンパン。
The forces of good never had a chance against the absolute evil.
この一部では今日は宝石機がよく出ますね。
The absolute evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the east with the greatest of ease. Now, only one tiny camp offers any resistance to the absurdly evil evil. And even that won't be able to hold out for much longer.
He は入れないの。
Evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the west with the greatest of ease. The defenders in front of the city had been beaten to a pulp and defeated. Now the time had come to attack King's Ending. The final battle beckoned. The city gate was firmly barricaded by the Alliance's archers. But the absolute evil would not allow itself to be held up by such a ridiculous impediment. So, go get them! Destroy them now! The absolute evil used its all-powerful magic to eliminate the archers and open the gate of the city. Using its legend, wait for it, dairy powers. The absolute evil destroyed the impediment and simultaneously eliminated a whole group of defenders. The road to the capital was now clear. The absolute evil did not hesitate for even 1 nanosecond. The insidious evil entered King's Ending. A small, pitiful group of defenders stood in its way. Suddenly, the doors of several houses in the city opened, and with a loud roar, defenders bore down on the rather surprised an ambush.
Shiro が飛んだ。白がぶっ壊れた。
The invincible evil had crushed the defenders. King's Ending had been defeated. At least, that's what it thought. Suddenly, the final heroes of the Alliance emerged from nowhere. Another ambush? Now, this was becoming very boring. But wait. This time it was different. Instead, the heroes raised their hands and started singing an incomprehensible chant. A magical ritual? This did not bode well. Well, actually, it bode the arrival of good things, great things, unless you happen to be the absolute evil. Once the ultimate evil had escaped from somewhere in the depths of the dungeon, the last remaining heroes of the country joined forces and cast a powerful banishment spell. The absolute evil disappeared from sight with a threatening gesture, and a faint whispered, "I'll be back," could be heard, coming from its lips. The absolute evil had been banished, and its essence shattered into several pieces.
平和になった。
Its reign of terror had ended. The good people of the overworld rejoiced, and an era of peace began for the Alliance.
いいゲームだ
The
ったな。
evil creatures were driven back into the underground, doomed to serve as cannon fodder for pleasure-seeking adventurers. Meanwhile, secreted away in the world's most inaccessible places, the last remains of the absolute
国
evil
民
were
は地下労
rescued,
働へ。
never again to see the light of the overworld. Until today, that is. Somewhere deep under the earth, the ultimate evil
Ingma.
awoke.
完全悪って言語だと何なんだろう。
And the hand of terror arose, controlled by the ultimate evil.
アルティメット移動。
Come on, hand of terror, arise, damn you!
アルティメット、エビル。
Methinks that
Ultimate
exploring the
evil.
surrounding area would be a sensible strategy. However, to do this, light would be required.
なるほど。
Still not bright enough. An old throne
完全
Mabuse.
凶悪。
deceived by the light. The circumstances remained a mystery. The hand of terror flew through the throne room, following each and every thought the ultimate evil had. After a few flying sessions, the ultimate evil was able to control the hand with ease. The time had come to call forth creatures who were completely devoted to it and would do its dirty
こ
work.
れ続編の
Little
操作キャラ
snots were the
は
dregs
ダ
of
ーク
each
ウ
and
ェ
every
ブの女
dungeon
の
and
子でし
spent
た。
their time taking care of it. The expansion mad evil hired one snot on the spot. The first little snot appeared. It was completely ready to work in the dungeon and to crawl in the dust before the ultimate evil. Little snots were important to the ultimate evil because they took care of many important little things, such as excavating new areas. The psionically gifted evil could sense the presence of something important that was buried to the south. It instructed its little snots to dig in that direction. As quick as a fart, the little snot made his way to the marked position and began to dig.
働け。
前やった時もそう言ってる国民見たからそうな
Behold,
の
the
か
creatures
な。
of the overjoyed evil had apparently been much more industrious than it had thought. A great dungeon was revealed behind the wall. Everything was already in
帝国
place.
ループしてね。
Doors, traps, a well-filled treasury. Oh, wait. Treasury? And where, if you please, is this treasury?
そうそうそう
Oh,
そんな
well.
ことは。
One can't expect too much of these mindless little snots. First of all, some gold had to be dug out to make space for a treasury to be created. The hand of terror swiftly marked a few small gold veins so that the little snots could excavate them. As soon as a gold vein was selected, a little snot immediately set out to mine valuable gold for the greedy evil.
同じ話を繰り返すおじさんも実はループしていた。
Oh,
ダークエルフの女司祭の主人公。皇帝記憶は蘇ってきましたか。
なんとなく。
無計画に来ると
チュートリアルだからまだ。
once most of the gold had been mined, the hand of terror quickly created a treasury on the spot so that the precious metal could be safely stored. The clever evil mastered this task with flying colors. From now on, little snots could use the treasury to store mined gold. It was then at the greedy evil's disposal whenever more rooms needed to be built or new creatures recruited. Little snots were all well and good, but were too weak and cowardly to defend the dungeon. Since it was not able to defend itself, the ultimate evil would have to hire some orcs. But they would require food. Liquid food. Well, beer to be precise. So the next important thing to build was a brewery.
トラッ
and
プだ
that would require some space to be created. The ultimate evil had the feeling that its servants were not really putting their backs into the work. Might a hearty slap from the hand of terror change that? The sadistic evil encouraged its creature to work a little faster, with a friendly but not at all gentle snap. There was now an area cleared for the brewery site, and with quick finger snaps from the hand of terror, the room stood ready. Excellent. But the recently built brewery lacked a brewing copper. With a sigh of resignation, the overworked evil set about taking care of that
生まれ
too.
ながらにして罪を負った存在なのだ。現在進行形で現在を積んでるのね。ルイズ、ユー、あなた積むね。現在のプレイ人数。
The little snots came across a small room containing a healing potion whilst pointlessly digging around in the underground. The ultimate evil could throw one of its wounded creatures on the potion to heal it.
Beer は作ってないのこれ。
The hard-working evil
Copper.
effortlessly built a brewing copper so that delicious beer could be brewed as soon as possible. One of the little snots started working on the brewing copper. The nostalgic evil banished all thoughts of Oktoberfest and brass bands. Those would have to wait. More important tasks had to be completed first. Both beer and gold were now available in the dungeon. So it was time to hire some creatures to defend against greedy heroes or whatever else snuck around underground. At present, it was only simple orcs declaring undying loyalty to the ultimate evil. The rest of the horde was scattered to the winds.
これ掘れないのか。
Orcs were defensive close combat specialists, capable of dealing with many opponents. However, they were very vulnerable to ranged attacks.
薬が拾えないの。
It's payday. An eerie gong rang through the hall. It did not bode well for the ultimate evil's treasury stocks, for at each sounding of the gong, the creatures would collect their undeserved wages. However, there was little it could do about this, as it was chained to the throne. Thus, it had to give free rein to its servants' desires. For the time being, at least. The dungeon of the expansion-mad evil grew and prospered, but unfortunately, it had reached the maximum possible population it could currently manage. Now a creature would have to be thrown into the bottomless pit before any others
さっ
could
さ
be
と攻め
brought
に
in.
行きたい。
なんで名前みんなすで始まるんだろ。
The nameless evil's creatures came upon a spider's nest during their
Chibi.
search for an entrance to the overworld. It would take more than
Chibi
one
だ
orc
から。
to scope that out. The abysmal evil used the hand of terror to grab several of the creatures that were still completely inexperienced at fighting and threw them onto the spider's nest.
オラオラ。
もしかしてリッキとかデブとかもいますか？
Suddenly, one of the repellent evil's servants became very thirsty. This was typical of a troop member of the unanonymous alcoholics known as the Horde. The Dipso made his way to the nearest brewery to quench his thirst. The spiders dropped like flies. the strategically well-versed evil patted itself on the back, proud that it had led its troops into battle with such aplomb. And by led, I just simply mean chucking them at the end.
帰っていっ
The
た。
basics of a dungeon were now in
なる
place.
べくトラップのあ
However,
ると
the
こで
brewery
戦
was
うのはど
puny
うでし
and
ょう。
didn't really have room to store beer barrels in, and the
緑承知
treasury
で
was
は
also any
心
a
臓を
thirsty
捧げ
orc
るのもお
arrived
仕
at the
事の
brewery.
会の骨。
Eager and snapping, he started demolishing the alcohol-hoarding evil's stock of beer. The creature disappeared into the pit of uselessness with a long-drawn and gradually diminishing. This particular act of wickedness brought a smile to the face of the ultimate evil.
焼却。
多く5人とかきついんだけど。
多くが求められるのであるな。
The evil has awoken,
急増上を
but its
広げる。
brothers are still asleep.
Huh? What on earth was that? That's not in my script. Weirdo.
3と
No
違
matter.
って
We'd better get back to concentrating on the dungeon.
ナレーションできる落ち着いた声っていいウボよね。食べたらもう懐かれた。
One louse-infested orc crawled up from the depths and declared allegiance to the ultimate evil. The first step towards the creation of a powerful army had been taken. The profound evil had had enough of dungeon sightseeing and now wanted to move to the surface to try a dish that is best served cold. Revenge. Some Alliance members were bound to be guarding the entrance to the overworld. A fine appetizer for a vengeful evil. A huge monstrosity loomed out of the darkness on 8 legs. This dungeon's human guards had been ancient history for a long while. Now it was home to a huge spider and her brood. Would Sam and Frodo escape it and continue their journey to Mount Doom, or was this the end of the ring bearer? Hang on a minute, that's not...
やっておしまい。
Oh yes, a huge spider, henceforth called the Spider Queen. It would be necessary to eliminate the Spider
基本
Queen
的に
before
愛
the
知の
horde
しか
could
作業
reach
し
the
ないんじゃないの。
The Spider Queen sent forth a wave of her children. Of course, the ultimate evil was
回復
fully
拾
aware
ったら
of this danger and immediately prepared to defend itself against them. At least, that's what I hope. The vile perversion, once called the Spider Queen, had nothing more with which she could fight the horde. Later, the sensitive evil would have her
助かっ
innards
た。
made into a lava lamp. The way to the surface was open. Now it was time to put those vengeance plans into
こ
practice.
んなんふわふわ。
The vile evil wanted to take this opportunity to utter a really sinister laugh. But unfortunately, its physical state made this unviable. Instead, it asked the narrator to do a bit of sinister laughter on its behalf.
日本語じゃないと。
Here goes. Deep breath.
はいふわ。
吹き替えじゃないと全く読んでられねえな。
ふわわ。
Once the ultimate evil had escaped
吹き替え
from
欲
the
しい
depths,
ですね、これ
still
は。
fettered to the throat,
おかしい。
ロベルト大橋ね
意味はわかるのに音声が認識できない。
According to scouts, King Robert
Hey,
spent
Wa.
most of his time strolling around his hunting lodge garden reciting poetry. Soon his poetry would turn into mournful ballads.
ロベル
The
ト。
vengeful evil thirsted to defeat the Alliance's king and mount his head on the wall as a trophy. Whoops, of course, I really mean that he wanted to take all of King Robert's cookies away.
平和ね。
Better play it safe, or the age classification folks will be after me. Before that, however, the ultimate evil had to do a bit of work on the dungeon. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to fund even a small army made up of a few orcs.
ゲーム管理委員会。
金が全然ないじゃないか。
The first treasury was completed. Soon greedy evil's little snots would fill it with
昨
gold.
日のゲームは縛り尽くしたんですか？
Whoever has the gold makes the rules.
はい。
そうです。
冒険者と競う。
クリアもしました。さす縛り工程。縛り尽くすっていい響き符で工程にぴったりの方。
人が足りない人が。
Right now, the restricted evil was only able to call upon orcs and little snots. But there had been rumors that some goblins were hiding out in a cave somewhere close by. The exploratory evil would be sure to follow this line of inquiry. The first brewery was completed. Soon beer would be flowing like a river, and an Oktoberfest atmosphere would pervade all. Would the ultimate evil put the beer baron
文
out
字
of
が小
business?
さくてスマホ視聴国民に
It's
羽
a
目を
duff
切り
reference.
皇帝国民の皆さんを今晩見対話けんけんけんけんはい狼少年
The strategy guidebook, Dungeons for Dummies, says mountains don't always just consist of rocks and stone, but may also include natural as well as artificial caves and rooms. These usually contain treasures and dangers to make digging around underground more exciting.
.ちょっと狭いかな。
たっぽいたっぽい
予約できたのか。
The ultimate evil should never forget to keep a watchful eye on its beer and gold stores. If its creatures can't help themselves whenever
拡
they
張
eat,
している。
they will get angry. Fast.
ありがとうございます。多く軍団を作るまで。金稼ぎ中。
シュラシュラ石油王ありがとうサブラミ序盤の労働力不足が大変だなこれつまり帝国王を広げてるんですね
そうですね。
多くの場面に書かれる
ビール。
The
多く
ultimate
の
evil
餌代。
slowly made itself cozy
横
underground.
断マスライフの
Although
名
this was a sensible decision, there was a large and lovely overworld out there, just waiting to be
多く
destroyed.
の何かだよ。
It's payday.
間違えた。
ペイデイ。給料日だ。給料日あってお金？チリは給料だけで永遠働いてくれるのにダメ
The warmongering evil had hired the first orc. As ancient wisdom says, violence is a solution, usually the only one.
ほら、給料日。国民給料日大好き。そういえば、ペイデイ新作レベルにどうかなって思ってたら一生でないや。
Another orc entered the service of the military-savvy evil. The horde was growing and prospering.
開発してるとは聞いたが怪しい。
The time to attack appeared to be right. On the surface, in the tavern of a small, miserable village, some adventurers gathered. They were acquiring Dutch courage for their visit to the dungeon by downing several
よっ
beers.
しゃ呼べ。
The dungeon had to be destroyed. The steady pounding in the rocks had given rise to overworld rumors of a new dungeon. A group of heroes set out to plunder its riches, and the ultimate evil was already looking forward to this visit.
ほら。
地上だ、地上だ。
The heroes didn't know what had hit them
Yachimai.
as several orcs bore down from nowhere and annihilated them. This group of heroes had plundered their last dungeon, but there would be more.
やっちまえ。
合計、今年はレタスが豊作で値崩れしてるらしいですが。よかったですね。
なんと、
ウサギが跳ねてる。
平和しやがって
レ。タスさえ豊作なら、あの山屋で売ってたのに。
潰せ。
用があったよ。
必殺技解かないのかよ。
結局、ゴールド足りなくて買いなさそう。
A delicious rumble announced the fact that the village's last house had crashed to the ground. Ha! There would be no more heroes meeting there to seek out the dungeon of the destruction-hungry evil. The hunting lodge of King Robert lay in the north. It was there that the ultimate evil would finally get its long-awaited revenge. However, it looked pretty damn well guarded. Maybe it should first visit the cave to the west, inhabited by a clan of goblins, where the cunning evil could do a little negotiating.
そうでしたっけ。
帝国の皆さん、ズアイドルさん、ドドリアさん、緑庄司、こんばんは。
回復どうやんのこれ。
お前こちら側に来てしまったか。3密。
ゴブリン族長ってなんだ。
アイコン。マップ西の方の野生のゴブリン。
回復しないのかなこれ。
ダンジョンに戻せば回復したような。
一旦戻すか。やべきた。なめんじゃねえぞ。
踊りを皆殺しだ。弓兵のくせに硬い。
メッシュ。これマップ切り替えは。
できたわ。
勝手に切り替わった。
It's payday.
いつの間にかすごい金が溜まってる。
金玄関だ。金玄金玄。人間の街で人間の街を最大の買い物をしましょう。雇用には金でしたっけ。
回復しないぞ。どうすれば回復するんだ。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
自動きついなこれ。
まだ回復させられないのかも。
使い捨て。トラップもつけれないし。
早々にクエストを終わらせた方がいいやつかな。
酒飲んで回復してる。最初から回復した KO を完全回復しないスタイル。
酒が飲める、酒が飲める。仕事優先でなければ
で完全回復しない。
飲酒の飲酒があるんですか？
指示とかできないんですけど。
お酒は飲んでる間がバフかかるけど、その翌日とかにデバフかかっちゃう。
The goblin leader prostrated himself joyfully before the ultimate evil, and immediately dispatched 2 goblins into its dungeon with a few plans for a new room, a tinkerer's cave. This was built as quickly as possible.
だって
2体ゴブリンが増えた。
これか。
Payday!
これか。
The tinkerer's cave was built. It could, however, only be used as a warehouse, as it lacked the workshop that the insidious evil's goblins needed. Quick as a flash, Evil placed a creator mat in the tinkerer's cave.
クリエイトをもっと。あれこれ、何違うのもしかしチェック。もしかして違う。研究する。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
やべえ。
研究室着きました。
やべ弱い。やべ弱い。どうすんだよこれ。
The tinkerer's cave was still lying there completely useless. The forgetful evil should place a creator mat in there soon so that this room can be productive.
ダメだこいつら。
守備は戦えない。
The throne room is under attack.
罪との戦いを制したである。ダッシュしろ。
死んだ。
人間強い。多くの追加雇用は守備がおろそかすぎた。
Your throne room is under attack.
死人可燃だよ。
Defend the throne room.
緊急帰還コマンドとかない？平和じゃん。財宝に興味ないのかこいつら。
そもそも命令を聞かれるだろうが。町の鐘ボタンどこどこ。
The Tinkerer's Cave was still not operational due to the lack of a creator
多
mat.
くの
The
国民が
confused evil berated itself for taking so long and quickly set about fixing the problem.
新キャラがいなくなってる。
あいつらは死んだ。
ゴブリン。研究施設奥には狭いかな。
狭すぎた。完全回復しとけ。金はある。
A sparkling new creator mat graced the Tinkerer's Cave of the expansion-hungry evil. A goblin would be able to work well in here, producing toolboxes. A few of these boxes would now be needed in order to invent a trap. The moody evil waited patiently.
僕も金からあるとか悪役みたいなセリフ入れてみたいよ。しかしゴブリンがいない。
やれやれ。
和骨。
潰したところは復活はしないみたいですね。らっしゃい。あれなんか雲が来てる。
Your throne room is under attack.
怖い。ふざけんなよ。
クモの巣にぶち当たった。
メインどっちが。
皇帝相手ならクソ原神身を差し出すことで命乞いできるとかなんとか。
Defend the
防
throne
衛
room.
用に多く増やせないんでしょうか。
そうするとチビを削ることになるんだよね。
町の人はそんなにいらないのだわ。もう金もあるし減らしてもいいのでは。
減らすか。ゴブリン。
人口の上限を上げる手はまだないよ。
さっきゴブリン殺したのは痛かったかな。
ゴブリン室で指示はない。
トラップを研究する。
The fortress could already be made out in the distance. The walls were lined with crossbowmen. A head-on assault would undoubtedly prove suicidal here.
ゴブリンも悪いやつなんですか、これ。ゴブリンと国民って五感が似てる。
そうですね。
トラップ制作に必要な材料を作ってますね。
As cowardly as the goblins were, their creativity more than made up for this. They proudly presented the treacherous evil with their plan for a devious trap. With a silent, evil cackle, it quickly buckled down to setting the trap.
そこ。
生産遅すぎる。ゴブリンだなんて失礼ご。
Undeterred and completely ignoring the words of the narrator, Goofy Evil sent its army forwards. The crossbow archers on the walls got themselves ready.
やべえ。死ぬ死ぬ。
It's payday.
回復させよ。
Job done. The trap was finished and ready to be found by a hero. This is going to be so much fun. Just at that moment, a particularly powerful dwarf warrior
異
appeared
星
in the
材型
dungeon.
がこれ。
How had he suddenly arrived at this precise time was indeed most odd. But his
2000財
presence
宝
was more than welcome. He was going to be a guinea pig for the trap.
めっちゃミミックや。
Even this strong dwarf warrior didn't stand a
Sinda.
chance against the treacherous traps and powerful monsters of the invincible evil. He bit the dust. So much for a game of dwarves. The dungeon's defenses were now clearly much improved, but the hunting lodge still remained well protected and impregnable. There was nothing that the ultimate evil could do. The task was impossible. So the evil withdrew, bent and broken, let feelings of revenge ebb away, and instead took up looking after those cute, teeny-weeny trees. What are they called again? Bonsai, yes, that's it. The end. Pretty unsatisfactory, huh? Of course, that wasn't the end. In reality, the indefatigable evil paid the goblin cave another little visit. The goblin leader would hopefully spit out something useful after a few more slabs.
ゴブリンの族長をぶん殴る。
The expansion-driven evil couldn't wait to explore the further possibilities of the Tinkerer's Cave. In particular, a hospital seemed a useful way to cure its ailing units. It set about asking for this to be researched. It did take a while. The charitable evil had researched the hospital. This would enable its units to quickly recover from their injuries, once it had been built.
回復したか。
The caring evil had good-naturedly built a hospital for its suffering creatures. It, however, still lacked a hospital bed. Little Snots would then bring any units there that had been injured in the dungeon.
やれやれ。
なるほど。内政担当外内政で
休養所って何もね。
内政中ね。
ベッドも自分で設置するのか。
Wounded units could now be healed in the hospital. Little Snots would also be able to bring defeated creatures here, so that they could be nursed back to health.
らっしゃい。
支援するぞ。100ビッツ。
Enemies have entered the
あり
dungeon.
がとうございます。
やっと回復施設が。
A few hard slaps were enough to motivate the leader of the goblins to help the ultimate evil. As it transpired, there was an old tunnel which had been previously used as an escape route. This connected the goblin cave with the vaults of the hunting lodge. The goblin leader voluntarily made a goblin assassin available to the hard-hitting evil to help infiltrate the lodge. Payday.
同じナレーターである。 達人なの。
そのようです。
ゴブリン暗殺者。
ちなみにポータル2にも出てるらしい。
どこここ？
The cheerful evil was pleased with this support. An assassin was a decent melee fighter, but its actual strength lay in its ability to make itself invisible. This was, of course, tested out immediately.
透明になった。
Despite the powerful invisibility skill, it was advisable for the ultimate evil to be cautious. Some opponents had such highly trained observation skills that they were actually able to see invisible units. A locked door prevented the assassin from progressing. It would have taken a long time for him to have opened it with sheer brute force using weapons. Thankfully, he had a suitable skill with which he could deactivate doors, and more importantly, traps.
ザ・ウィットネスには出演していないそうである。
弱すぎ。
The on-the-ball evil recognized that the warrior princess there was extremely powerful. The goblin assassin would be best advised to avoid any contact with her.
フィットです。3に比べて RPG 要素が強いな。
消えた。
続編まで出てるいいゲーム。ザ・ウィットネスの日本語訳した人、かなりいい翻訳者だったと思う。
A Gobobot was being forced to make miserable repairs in the lodge. A brief feeling of what it thought might be sympathy passed through the sensitive evil, but this actually turned out to be a mighty belch. Naturally, it would free the useful Gobobot anyway.
だって。
倒せるのか？
とりあえず MP を回復しよう。ハイドアタック。ストム。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
校庭にある MP が足りてますか？さっさアサシン。
Elated by the assassin's attempt at rescuing it, the Gobobot joined the horde and succeeded in showing its tormentors a real hot time. Its ability to more or less ignore range damage and set fire to large areas would come in very handy.
強い。
トラップ設置進んでないのか。
トラップもうちょっと設置するか。 利用点数ってなんだ。
トラップにしませんか。これ見逃しに宝箱。
It's payday.
ほら、
つまり、これは野菜ではなく花を育てるアストロノート。
強い。めっちゃ強い。外に出られないこい
And
つ。
so the negligent evil promptly allowed the only really vital unit to this mission to die. The goblin leader sighed and put his second best assassin at evil's disposal at the basement exit.
ディフェンスとは
もう言ってきくれた。おかわりくれた。
The hunting lodge was completely destroyed. The vengeful evil gave itself a very self-satisfied pat on the back. The time was right to concentrate on King Robert. He was in his renowned garden reciting his much less renowned love poems. The lyrically challenged evil had no time for poetry and would soon make this tangibly clear to him.
乗り込む。
今ならその時間復活したいからアストロノートとその作品こそ疲れた。
The king was accompanied by a pixie who was able to cast powerful healing magic. Any direct attack would be suicidal.
Ted Stark is dead.
Mercifully, the omniscient and helpful narrator was at hand. He pointed out to the impatient evil that the pixie went off from time to time in order to check that all was well, and much more importantly, eat her supper in a little camp to the south. The pixie buzzed over to eat her meal. The ultimate evil prepared an ambush.
なんかついていたんだよ。
One would think that killing a
Yo.
fragile flying being wouldn't be rocket science. But an incredibly incompetent evil had taken far too long in doing so and had startled a few guards into action.
Star Wars にだったかな。
死ねやおら。強い。ピクシー強い。
The annoying little pixie had spoken her last healing spell. The crafty-minded evil sculpted a fan from her
漏らしだよ。
Now it was time to look for King Robert and ensure his early demise.
まさしくそれであった。素晴らしい動きを。
King Robert fell, and the ultimate evil
Simba.
had received its well-deserved revenge. But there were still many more heroes out there who deserved to bite the dust. Their time would come. The demigod Krotos, one of the
なりました。
sniveling cowards
なるほど。
who had banished the ultimate evil, had just marched his alliance army out of the swamplands to fight the snake-like Nagas. The ultimate evil wanted to teach him the full futility of war by ensuring his
よ
untimely
かった合っ
passing.
てた。
Besides, the Nagas could prove to be valuable allies.
このゲームなんというか、
ダンジョン作りながら攻めるの
あんまり
大変だ
自分の陣地を完璧にするのには意味がないですね。やることさえ分かっていれば、ただ手順をやるだけ。初見だと何していいか分かんなくて、無駄に時間を食うけど、
King Robert was defeated, but there were more heroes whose life the ultimately vindictive evil was after. Here in
ど
the
うせ
swamplands,
次の
the
ステージで
demigod
リセットだ
Krotos
しね。
was just leading the Alliance's troops against feral Naga clans. They had retreated here after the collapse of the Dark Army. It would seem sensible to first strike an alliance with these Nagas before the impatient evil squared up against Krotos.
詰将棋みたいに最短極められそう。皇帝の理解がゲームの進行を上回ってしまわれた運はダンジョンの形にもよるけど、結局は罠の場所をうまく配置するだけだし、分かるまでを楽しむ感じですかね。
なんだこのクリスタルは。
新しい味だ。静かに語り出すやつですか。ファンシンの召喚に必要なので。
The gold-greedy evil built the first underground treasury, thus laying the foundations for insane amounts of hoarded treasure.
そのブル文学のそういえば壁は埋められそうです。
埋めるっていうのはないので、今のところ
間違って掘ったらやばいな。右下のボタンになります。
再び塞ぐ。これか。これで防げるのか。最初からいろいろある。リズムアウトが少なすぎる。
火を通じてる通路をくねくねしたダンジョン通路に再建設できる。
なんだろうこれ。入り口2つ。
The first brewery was built underground. Later, orcs and goblins would get obscenely drunk there, and then meander through the dungeons, slurring their words and singing lewd songs. A tinkerer's cave
半
had
分
been
半
built.
分でいけるかな。
Soon, traps and doors in the dungeon would make any would-be hero's
少ない
life
か。
more tricky. These evil's hard-working goblins had made plans for a new room, a guard room. There, creatures could patrol and keep a lookout for heroes. Immediately, the ultimate evil got down to having this room researched.
Toりあえずこの人員で
The Alliance had discovered the presence of the ultimate evil. This had nothing to do with a tip-off from a
沼地を
certain
探検する
narrator who wanted to increase the tension. It was pure
YouTube に出たら
coincidence.
梅原が死体打
Good
ちする
people
動画出て
responded,
きてびっく
as
り
you
し
might
た。
expect, with a direct attack on the dungeon.
「学芸バル面白かったよ。梅原買わせ」ゲームの暗黒面に言われたのかな。梅原はまだダムにいるの？
格ゲー勢はどうなっ
Enemies
た
have entered the dungeon.
死体打ちしときました。14巻初めてたダムよ。
ミルダムクイはチームのスポンサーなので、
ミルダムは公民全員追い出したんだな。
や部長強くね
It's
もう公認
payday.
全部いなくなったんかな
稼ぎ頭たちは残すとな。兵力が足りない。
いやこれ一人じゃ無理だろう
スト6の6ゲー遊びに九州行くって。稼ぎよりも出ていくお金の方が多いんじゃないですかね。
早く酒飲んで
参加全然違うわ。構成が。
早く酒飲んで
無理無理。バルハラコーチ。
From the Dungeons 2 strategy guide, Nagas are ranged units and can detect invisible creatures.
透明クリーチャー
これが苦痛に耐えられぬとき飲む薬ですか。
そうです
梅原市は e スポーツのチームに素人化してるんでしたっけ。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
体の痛みは数倍になる。
チームを持っているのでは
進撃花火。
しいなこれ。
バリバリ現役41歳です。個人のスポンサーついてる人にとっての配信は収益とは別の役割疲れた。
この部屋何に使うんだろう。
その青いのは魔力か何かなのかな。
100 years later, the dungeon of outdated evil was discovered by other baddies. Following careful investigation, they came upon the single reason why this dungeon had failed. There was no guard room. Maybe you should work towards preventing this future becoming reality.
今やっとるがな。
Payday. A hospital had been built. From now on, wounded monsters could be cured there.
こんなにいらねか。ツールボックスが欲しい。ゴブリンもう一人雇うか。
Enemies have entered
誰
the
が入
dungeon.
ってきた。 今のところは。
Out there, the swamplands look bleak and unfriendly. Not an area Charlie would surf in.
ツールしもべ細工してくれ。そこ削れって言ったっけ？門ってやっぱりすぐかわされるのかな。
削れって言われたから削ったんですけど、で返されるタイプ。
門はこちらにつけた方がいいのかな。最初に爆弾でダメージを焚いて、今の金はどこに表示されているの？特に表示されてない。よっしゃ。
ダメー。
The exploration Keen-Evil sent its troops to the surface for the first time. The swamplands spread out before them. The next step was to either find the Nagas and recruit them, or be massacred by the army of the Alliance. It was a difficult decision.
長ってどこで？やべえ。数の振り。
Payday!
Payday!
トラップで戦う。バカチロ。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
.単純とさあ、外で操作性が違うのがなんとも。お前らも同じ布団で寝落とすんじゃねえよ。 機微室。警備静側なんですか？もしも火力しただろう。無駄に強い。
The guard room was researched and ready for construction. Creatures that were thrown there by the hand of terror would keep watch and be especially vigilant for intruders. The army of the ultimate evil could view the temple from the top of the hill, and it did indeed not look good for the Nagas. The nauseatingly good hero Krotos personally led the alliance into battle and was forcing the snake creatures to retreat. Only his death would deliver the temple back into the hands of evil.
やばいやばい。
Well, that could be arranged. The troops of the ultimate evil stumbled upon a patrol of the alliance that had caught some Nagas. Of course, they immediately set about wiping out the much-hated heroes. Oh, and by the way, you could of course also set those Nagas free.
やばいよやばいよ。やられてんじゃん。
The last fighter in the patrol was defeated. Creatures of the horde cheered. Oh yes, and set the Naga free as well. They were overjoyed to join the ultimate evil. The eager for new units evil sent his creatures further towards where it expected the Naga camp to be. The Nagas kept up their fight to free their unholy temple from the alliance. If the ultimate evil was to help them win it back, then their support would be guaranteed. Since that fitted perfectly with the planned revenge on Krotos, it was the ideal solution.
Kuma。熊と戦う。
The approaching horde startled a few animals. Dinner.
犠牲者が出そう。
決まって。帰れかい。
熊殺し。
山氏死んだ。
There
Zoro
are
Zoro
enemies
来て
in
る。
your dungeon.
やばい人口オーバーだ。いけるか。置いてた。
間引かなきゃ。
また犠牲になるのか。
くるくる強い。
よっしゃ。意識を失って倒れている。
It's payday.
こいつ消えないの。給料でのこいつら。とりあえず給料もらうのか。 対者弱いなこいつ
チームが
ら。
大事。
ちゃんとフォーメーション取って。
いかに完全悪でも給料なしでは配下は動かないか。金の切れ目が円の切れ目っての最近心で理解できました。
ほらクソ動物かかってこいや。ちょっと強すぎだろクマ。異常だろこの強さ。
クマが強い19ポイント。
クマは基本強いもの。
あのメガライオン
The horde defeated the
死体は
bear
どうにかならな
and
い。
stocked up on bear meat. However, as bear meat is not actually a resource in the game, this was utterly irrelevant.
死体は回復しない。早くしないなら早く消えろんな。
狭い通路のダンジョンの中でクマに出会ったら死を覚悟するように。
こっちもやばい動物とか読めない。
A small group of Alliance troops had gathered here. The presence of the Nagas ensured that the all-seeing evil could see even the close units.
クマに襲われにくなったくなった。
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
.あれこれ動がないよ。
At last, the horde reached the Nagas' camp. They were not able to offer the ultimate evil much help. However, they spoke of an
金太郎
artifact
は
that was
ク
hidden
マと
deep
力
down
を
in
比
the
べ合っ
mountain.
てたくましくなっ
It
た
would
ら
make
しい。
defeating the Alliance a piece of cake. The Nagas opened a portal to the artifact using their ancient magic. The insidious evil debated briefly whether it was worth the risk. Finally, however, it decided it was only a question of its creatures' lives, and of course, the ultimate evil didn't give a toss about them.
なんか
The horde had passed through the Naga portal and found themselves in an old altar chamber, in the center of which lay a very ancient-looking object. This had to be the artifact.
クマと
Some
一緒に
creatures
住も
appeared
う
to
と
be
して
guarding
たく
it.
ましくなったウホねウホ。
皇帝もサメと泳ぎを競い合ったらワンちゃん。
なんだここは。クオークオは
クマちゃん系が好みだったのであろう。皇帝は球体と仲良くなれ。そう、廃止。堂々はい堂々。
I don't believe it.
皇 投稿
Is there really still a guard at the artifact? My goodness, my grandma would have finished the whole game by now. Move your butt, do something. It's payday. Once the artifact guards were eliminated, the artifact began to glow. It almost seemed to be waiting to be picked up. It looked as if the artifact would fit perfectly into the mysterious altar base that lay deep within the dungeon of the ultimate evil. Maybe it would be a good idea to place it there. The artifact was currently lifeless. It needed some magic. The next task for the expanding evil's creatures was to expose some mana crystals. This mana would be necessary to charge the artifact up. Wait a moment, that's already been done. Well, like someone's trying to become the teacher's pet. Nerd. But a mana crystal on its own was really of no value to the ultimate evil. It would take a crystal chamber to make this valuable asset usable. A room was quickly installed under the crystal. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
また侵入者か。やべ、こいつ解除してる。
小さいと当たらないのか。
ぶっ壊れた。
The crystal chamber shone with the brilliance of a freshly painted room. To exploit this effectively, the success-enabling evil was now able to recruit Nagas. At this exact moment, the clan conveniently placed some of these snake-like beings at its disposal.
に存在するのは皇帝と奴隷だけだよ。
金が折り尽くした。
Apparently, it had not escaped the notice of the Alliance's magicians that something disturbing was going on in the underground. So they decided to mount powerful attacks on the dungeon. But the ultimate evil had been warned, that's what I'm doing right now, by the way, and created such a formidable defense that it would have brought tears to the eyes of any tower defense player. A cry for help from a few Nagas trapped in a very remote area reached the ultimate evil while it was defending the dungeon. Maybe they could be saved by using a spell, which was ready to be unlocked in the crystal chamber. The artifact continued being loaded with magic. It would soon be ready.
罠に頓着しないけど倒れちゃうの見てうふふ。
保護か。
Spiders have spread throughout the underground.
カニエ・ウエストみたいな名前の長がいる。
スパイダー。もうめんどっちな。
Wave by wave tactics of the Alliance had so far proven unsuccessful. So, a strategic genius had decided to open up a second entrance to the underground in order to send, well, wave after wave of units into the dungeon. It's
皇帝の
payday.
メンドッチがいっぱい聞くゲーム。めんどくせな。
There are Play Me the Song of Magic. Oh yes, the artifact continued to fill itself with more delicious mana. Protect the artifact!
やべえ。
皇帝のメンドッチどうふざけんなよ。お健康にいい。
突破されてるじゃねえかよ。この鉄壁の防御は。
Enemies have entered the dungeon.
ザルでした。
下からも来てるこれ。
ザル。
やべえよやべえよ。
The artifact was filled with magic. Neither did it take too long, nor did it go too fast. It was filled up exactly when the level designers intended it to be.
いつの間に。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
はなんだこの量。入ってきすぎだろ。
The artifact was almost bursting with energy. It was now producing mana independently and ready to stand by the ultimate evil's side in the battle for the temple. It also gave the ultimate evil access to a few more magic spells. Now it was time to take the temple and destroy
あれはドアの
Krotos.
建設予
The
定状
ultimate
態
evil
ですね。
gathered all the troops together to attack in one devastating wave.
なるほど。
There are enemies in your dungeon.
入っていきすぎなのだから。 つですか？
フルボッコ。
The unspeakable evil's creatures approached the Alliance's camp. An impressive dam towered into the sky in the background. However, this path led to absolutely nowhere. Enemies have entered the dungeon.
やべ、また入ってきた。
また来た。
なんこれ。
どうですか？今のところ楽しいですか？皇帝？
難しすぎる。
忙しくなってきた。
あれ死んだ。死んだ。撃退したのか。操作性が悪い。
Payday.
「敵が強すぎだろ」
長が
復活するのかな。多分生産できない分に関してはじゃないと戦力が全く足りないもんね。
or more precisely its creatures, destroyed the Alliance's camp with the greatest of ease. It considered having a luxury hotel for stressed dungeon managers built there.
とりあえずこれで後ろからやれることはなくなったのかな。
お時間です。ポーションが落ちてる。
といったところでお疲れ様でした。来週からこれです。
お疲れ様でした。お疲れ様を。
オツである。オツである。オツである。オツである。オツである。
続きは来週。
オツである。
お疲れ様でした。
イージーモードとかないのこれ。
苦戦しそうだ。
朝早。
手強い。
さてこの後は
メンガッチ100回聞けそう。
恐竜ファイトクラブか。寝る人はおやすみなさい。 れない人は15分集合です。
ファイトがいらないファイトクラブ。